Welcome to tonight's Mindset Tuesday, everyone. I hope everyone had a fantastic Tuesday so far. How have the trading been for everyone? How are you guys doing? Let's see some engagement in the chat. I would really love that today everyone pay 100% attention. Everyone is locked in. Everyone is communicating in the chat together with me. Because remember, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And that's one of my first lessons I want to go through today, because that's really one key thing in life. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And what do I mean with this? This means that the standard that you hold for yourself, if you're the one that's sitting with camera on, if you're the one that really showing in the camera that you're paying attention, that you're taking notes with pen and paper and doing the slight edge, because everyone talks about they have bigger goals, bigger dreams, bigger desires. But to be honest, no one gives a shit what you talk about. What people care about is the action that you take. They don't watch your mouth, they watch your feet. Especially if you have the dream and desire to become a leader in this industry. Everything starts with your actions. Monkey see, monkey do. People will look at the actions that you take and not what you talk about. Because everyone, they talk great, everyone talk about big goals, big dreams, everyone talk about you need to do this and this and this and this and this, but there's a few people that execute those, and that's what will separate you from the masses. And I know you guys are here today because you have above average goals and dreams, you have a bigger desire. But every single day we need to wake up and we need to make those decisions for ourselves. We need to say yes to that dream. We need to say yes to that desire. Every day you will need to make those active decisions of taking those steps that are aligned with your vision, that are aligned with the direction that you're going in, that are aligned with your goals, with your dreams, with your desire. Because every single day there will be distractions. Every single day there will be things that are not leading you in the direction that you want. And you need to be brave enough to say no. You need to eliminate those distractions and you need to prioritize your future. So, as you already know on the title, as we've been opening about, today will be a real mindset call. So, it doesn't matter if your goal is only trading, if your goal is to build a massive business, if you want to become a super successful entrepreneur, whatever it is, tonight's training will be able to help you hopefully unlock some new perspectives in the way that you're thinking. And when you go home after tonight's call, or when you're at the end of tonight's call, and this is some steps and some way of thinking that you can bring with you to your day-to-day life. And that's also why I want you to take the notes. It's not because I think I'm a freaking god or something and everyone should listen to me, everyone should pay attention to that. It's because I've been on the other side. I've been the one that was brand new into this business, and I was on these mentorship calls, and someone told me to take notes. And in the beginning, I'm like, bro, do you think I'm in school or something? Why would I take notes? I'm like, I don't take notes. I don't even take notes in school. Why would I take notes on a random Zoom call? And I think everyone had that perspective sometime. Everyone had that thought. I'm like, why would I take notes? I will remember. Have you ever had that thought where you think, where you say to yourself, I will remember? 100%. I think we've all been there where we're like, yeah, I will remember. But remember, when your ego is too high, your bank account is too low. I will say that one more time. When your ego is too high, your bank account is too low. So if you log into your bank account right now and you're not satisfied, please, for God's sake, throw that ego out of the window, because you have no freaking right to have an ego right now. And I don't have either. Because I always put myself in a situation where there's room for growth. I always put myself in rooms, in environments where there's people that have accomplished more than me. I want to get slapped in the face sometimes. I want to realize that I haven't accomplished a jack shit yet. And I think that's so powerful in this industry because no matter what, there will always be someone better than you. And I think that's everything in life. That's something I really realize now lately when I've been putting myself into more to powerlifting also. Because I would believe that I'm decent in strength, but then when I'm coming into the powerlifting industry, and every single day I'm getting slapped in the face. I see a random girl, she's weighing like 63 kilos, doing 200 plus kilos in squats. I'm like, holy shit. Yep, there's always new levels. There's always someone stronger than you. And every time when you let that ego sneak in, you will have that bitch slap in your face. You will realize that you have no right to have an ego. So please remove that ego and stay coachable. Even if you would be the one that have now accomplished more than the person sitting here speaking, you can always learn something. You can even learn something from the homeless guy on the street. What? You can learn what steps to not take in your life. There's always perspectives, there's always lessons to be learned, but you need to be the one open for it. You need to be the one that always have that mindset of looking for information, looking for lessons. And that starts with you. That starts with your mindset when you come into every situation. It always comes in, what can I learn from this? When something so-called bad happens in your life, when whatever actually happens in your life, your question should always be, what can I learn from this moment? What can I learn from this situation? And if it's something so-called negative, how can you make sure that you don't put yourself in that situation again? With trading, for example, I know a lot of you guys, you probably have over leveraged, over trade, did things that you didn't have in your trading plan. And then you end up doing the same thing again and again and again. And I think the first time you will really change is when the pain of that mistakes outweighs the pain of making a new change. For me, when it comes to trading, it was one specific day that made me to make sure that I will not do any stupid things anymore. And since that day, I have been really disciplined to not do any crazy over leverage, to not do anything so-called stupid. It was a day where I was a bit too greedy. I was playing a bit much around with my lot size, and I lost over $2,500 on a day on my live account. And that was the day I'm like, $2,500? That's like, that's food for the next 3 months or something. I'm like, okay, now is the time to not do anything stupid. And it was just because of greed. It was just because I compared myself to the people that was making $15,000 a day, $10,000 a day, $20,000 a day. And I said, yeah, but if they can, I can. And of course, it's possible, but I can't compare, a couple of $1,000 account to hundreds of $1,000 account. Comparison is the thief of joy. The second you start to compare yourself to other people is when the joy gets sucked out of you. Because you're not in a battle against anyone else in life. We're all here moving in the same direction. We're not competing against each other. This is not a race. This is not a race where we all are beside each other and we're running to a finish line. All of our finish lines will be different. Some of you guys have a goal to make a couple of hundred extra bucks a month. Some of you guys have a goal to make a couple of thousand bucks a month. And some of you guys, you want to make at least $100,000 a month. We all have different dreams, different beliefs, different desires. I remember I was 18 years old when I got started in this industry, and my biggest dream back then, because that's what my belief was able to, believe, it was $5,000 a month. I'm like, man, $5,000 a month, that's the craziest number ever. That's like super high salary in Sweden. I will do that as a young guy. And that was my belief. And then I hit that to make $5,000 a month. And then I got friends like Michael. I got contacts with other people in the industry. I met a guy that was like 22 back then, made over $50,000 a month. And I started to realize that my goal as $5,000 a month, it was so tiny. So at that moment, when I put myself in a bigger environment with people that had accomplished even more than me, I realized there's always new levels. So then I increased my goal to $10,000. And then I hit that also. And now this year is that in the end of this year, I want to have at least $15,000 a month steady income with the trading, with the business combined. To have an average income of $15,000 a month. That's what I want to accomplish this year. I'm always working on improving myself, becoming better, developing myself, putting myself in environments where people already have accomplished that. That's why I will go to this Miami event now in March. Even if it's on the other side of the planet, basically, and it's a far as travel, but now it could be worse places to be at than Miami, because Miami is freaking amazing. But anyways, I've been doing this over the last 5 years. Even when I was 18 years old, I traveled all over the world to be able to spend time with people that had the results that I wanted. Because it's one thing to sit in Zoom calls like this and listen, but it's a total other thing to be able to touch someone, to be able to see someone, to be able to feel someone, to be able to spend hours with them, ask more personalized questions, get perspectives what you really need in your life. And again, this is just part of willingness to learn and a burning desire. And I highly believe if there's a will, there's a way with everything in life. Maybe you look at your bank account right now and say, it doesn't make sense for me to travel to Miami and go to this event and do all of these things. But I deeply believe, is there a will, there's a way. And what that way is, that's up for you to figure out. And this comes to my first really main lesson that I want to talk to today that have changed my perspective since the day I heard this message. And it's that normal people, they focus 95% on the problem and just 5% on the solution. Meanwhile, entrepreneurs focus just 5% on the problem. They realize that there's a situation there, but then 95% on their focus goes to the solution. And now you can ask yourself, what type of mindset do you have? When I tell you you should be in Miami on the event, what was your first thought? And be honest with yourself. Because if you're not honest, if you're not aware, you will never grow. To lie to me doesn't make sense. It doesn't help you anything. It doesn't help me anything. So what was your first thought? Oh man, it's so expensive. Can I really make it? I've been there, yeah. I've been there. And I think a lot of people have that. And when I told my mentor the first time, it's too expensive. Do you know what he told me? Emil, there's nothing called expensive. It's just that you make too little money. Because expensive is just a perspective, right? For expensive for someone to spend $1,500 maybe to go to this event, for someone that's a lot. But for someone that making $50,000 a month, do you think for them to spend $1,500 to travel to an event would be a big deal? Absolutely not. So now you realize that it's your mindset. You don't believe that you deserve to make more money because you've been in the same situation for so long time. So you programmed your mind to believe that's what you deserve, to believe that the number of, for example, $1,500 is expensive. And if that's your thought, it's a clear indicator that you need to do more personal development. And yes, there's situations that it doesn't make sense to do a certain thing. For example, I wouldn't recommend any one of you to spend $25,000 to be in a private mentorship call with Ed Mylett now, for example. Because that doesn't make sense in the situation you are in right now. But to figure out a way of gathering thousand, maybe even, $1,000 would be possible for the event, depends on how you do it, or how long you stay, and all of these things. But for someone now within a month period of time to figure out a way to do that, I believe it's fully possible. So now let's mastermind a bit to really wake up that part of the brain where we're working on solutions, where we're figuring out solutions together. Because this is what you need to practice day in and day out. Because our mind is usually so fixated with a problem. And now you need to reprogram that mind to start to look for solutions. So what can you do? Can you maybe take some extra shift on your job? Can you maybe, I don't know, maybe you're close to hitting the rank? Whatever it is, maybe you have some designer clothes at home that you know you don't need. If there's a will, there's a way. I know some of you ladies, you probably have a handbag worth $1,000 that you could sell, and boom, you have your ticket to Miami and the event and the hotel and everything fixed. Oh yeah, but I don't want to sell that bag. That that small decision of selling a material thing to invest in something in yourself, to put yourself in the right environment, to be in an event with Matthew, with Joey, with Ali, with Michael, with Krab, with all the educators. Do you think the upside potential of that investment could generate you an income of freaking 10 handbags a month? Or, as a guy, I know something super uncomfortable. I know some of the guys is laughing right now at the handbag. Your gaming computer. Oh yeah, but I use it for trading. Shut the fuck up. Bro, you don't need a freaking gaming computer for trading. It's on freaking Safari, or on Google. Oh yeah, yeah. I don't care about your excuses. That's something you need to discuss with yourself. And we all have these different things that we know we could do, but we don't have the willingness yet. And that's just you telling yourself you don't want to accomplish all of these goals that you have. And I hope it's okay for you guys. I'm really real with you now today. But I think sometimes that's what we need. We need that realness. We need someone to tell us what we need to hear, not what we want to hear. And I want to unlock that level of your brain because when I really understood that quote, that there's only solutions, literally, there have never, like over the last 5 years, there have never been something where I haven't been able to figure out, the solution to something. Because we have so many smart people in this community. I'm sitting with Michael, I'm sitting with Joey, we're masterminding, we're figuring out ideas, we're making sure that we're finding the idea, we're finding solutions for whatever situation it is. And I want you guys to really keep this quote within you and start to work from it in your day-to-day life. And whatever situations appear, just remind yourself of that. Okay, this is a situation. And then think solution, 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 solution. Because remember, where focus goes, energy flows. And if you can make sure all your energy goes towards the solution, you will figure that out. But if the only thing you do is, oh, this is the problem, this is the problem, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have money, I don't have. What do you think will happen in your life? That's the exact same thing that will stay. You will not have money, you will not figure out anything, you will just be stuck thinking on the problem, 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 problem. And that's all your focus goes, all your energy goes to the problem. And the problem will just grow because you give it so much energy. You know, everything in life, what I mean with this, where focus goes, energy flows. I would say everything in life, it's like a flower. You know, if you want the flower to grow, what do you need to do? You need to give it focus, right? You need to give it your energy. You need to make sure it have the sun when it needs to. You need to make sure you're watering it. And what happens? It's growing. But if you don't give any focus there, if you don't pay any attention there, it will die. And it's the same thing with your goals, with your dreams. If you have a goal to make now, the next 3 months, to make an extra income of $1,000 a month, if that's the only thing that, when the first thing you wake up, oh, okay, what can I do today to come one step closer to make what? Holy shit, why did I grow so much on the Zoom? So, and if that's the only thing that you have, and that's all the thing that you're thinking about, your brain would actively start to work and finding solutions to make that happen. Yeah, Fredrik, your fingers is not green. Probably because you didn't give it enough focus, enough attention. So, I have some points that I have written some notes about that have helped me a lot throughout the years. So, point number one that I really want everyone to write down is have a clear vision. Have a clear vision. And a vision is more than just why you do something. You need to go even deeper. You need to create a vision that triggers emotions that you can feel. And this is something that can take time sometimes, but you need to really sit down with yourself and figure out what makes you emotional. How can you make your vision that really emotional attached to you? And for me, and that will go hand in hand with the next point later, but I will start on that now. For me, something that helped me a lot to create an emotion around it was all the people that said trading will not work, crypto is a scam, you will never be able to make money from your phone. For me, that created an emotion because I hate like that energy, that negative energy that they thrown in my direction. It was like putting gasoline on a fire for me. That made me my burning desire even deeper. I wanted to show every single one that ever told me I will never be able to make it happen. And I wanted to show them with every single cell in my body that I will make it happen. But for some of you guys, that didn't work. You need to figure out what it is for you. Maybe you had a tough childhood where your parents couldn't buy the food that they wanted, or you couldn't go on the trips, or whatever it was. Maybe that's trigger an emotion for you where you feel like, okay, when I have kids, I never want them to be in the same situation as I was. Maybe that triggers an emotion for you where you feel like, oh, this is so strong emotions that you will now outwork that. And you need to figure out what that emotion is for you. And don't just think 1 year ahead, really create a long term vision for your life, for your future, but also for your organization. And talk about your vision. Do it constantly because what you speak about grows. I have a vision for this year already now, as I talked about, $15,000 a month. I want to make that consistent. I want to make sure House of Freedom is over 10,000 people worldwide. But I also have a goal, for example, in the powerlifting. I want to have a 695 kilo total. And I know it's a big jump for me this year. But the reason why I speak about it, I'm talking about it with powerlifting coaches. I'm talking about it with other people on the gym that do powerlifting. Because what happens now in 1 year, if I'm not even close to that, and they ask me, Emil, how did that goal go? What do you think that makes me feel if I'm saying I'm not even close? Because I wasn't consistent. I didn't put in the work. Same thing if you guys come to me, oh, Emil, have you made $15,000 a month yet in December? And I'm like, huh, I made $1,000 this month. Do you think that would make me feel nice? Of course not. So when I speak about it, I put even more pressure on myself. And what's made under pressure? Diamonds are made under pressure. And of course, for example, for me to say I'm gonna be a billionaire this year, in my mind, it's not possible right now. So that's not a realistic goal. That's not something I can put out there right now. It doesn't make sense. So of course, it needs to make sense in some type of way. But a lot of things that you guys want to accomplish is things other people have already done. So we already have a blueprint. Let's say you want to be a blue diamond at the end of the year. A lot of people have already hit blue diamond under a year. That means now, if you go to Miami, you can go to every single blue diamond and you can ask them, what did you do to hit blue diamond? What did you do to hit blue diamond? Or if you want to make a specific amount of trading, you can go to every single educator. What did you do to accomplish that? What did you do to accomplish that? And what happens now? Your belief increases because you start to see that as a reality for a lot of people. And they start to give you direction, and you start to understand, okay, if I do this and this and this and this, I will come closer and closer and closer. Point number 2, don't listen to naysayers. Because people will say, I don't believe in you. But you just need to remember that's fine. Because you believe in yourself. And your number one supporter will always be yourself. You don't need anyone's approval. And as I said before, use their negativity as fuel. At least for me, in everything in life, I can go back to sports again. For example, when I played football back in the days, and we were in tournaments, and we were the way underdog in that tournament, but we ended up winning that tournament. And everyone before, they're like, yeah, you guys will never win that. You will not be able to win that. And then we come into finals and like, yeah, they got those other team, they will crush you. What do you think that did with our team? Do you think we like, yeah, you guys are correct. We will not win this. We will lose. If that was our mentality, we would get fucking crushed. But we use that as fuel. Like we're gonna show them. There's no one freaking winning about over us. We're gonna win this final. And we used all those negative people as fuel. And how do you think that win was feeling? How do you think to hold that trophy in the hands when everyone else was watching? Everyone that didn't believe in you. How do you think that feeling for you? I can guarantee you there's nothing better to prove all those negative people that they are wrong and that you made it happen. That's the best feeling out there. Point number 3, have a plan A mentality. Have a plan A mentality. To be honest, I hate plan B. There's nothing worse when people tell me they have a plan B. And now you ask why? And I'm gonna tell you exactly why. Because plan B gives you permission to quit. Plan B gives you permission to quit. Because when there's only one option, you become more creative, more resourceful, and more committed to that goal. Because if you allow yourself to have a plan B, you have already told yourself, I will not make plan A working, so I need plan B. Because it's okay if I don't succeed. And do you think that's a winner mentality? I can guarantee you the answer is no. You need to have a plan A mentality. You need to, whatever it is that you want to accomplish, you need to make sure that that's your plan A and there's no freaking room for disbelief of you accomplishing that up in your mind. You need to have that as a number one priority of making it happen. And when that's your goal, even if it's something that's crazy, but you have your back against the wall, as I said, you will be more creative, you will be more resourceful, and you will be way more committed to make it happen. But I deeply believe why so many people is failing 2025, 2026 is because they are too comfortable. They have too many options. They study this, and then they have this work, and they have their family that have money. They have all of these alternatives. So they have already in their mind allowed themselves to not make it happen. But if you put your back against the wall, there's a freaking knife back there. It's gonna go right straight through your back if you're backing off. If you have that mentality, trust me, the actions that you take on a daily basis, it will be way different. One of my mentors back in the days told me a crazy thing, and he also said, this is not for everyone, but this is what worked for me. He said, Emil, what I do is I think that my family, my kids, my wife will die if I don't make this goal happen. He had a daily goal of presenting the business 3 times every single day. He was not allowed to go to bed. And he was imagining that if he didn't make that happen every single day, his family will die. If you had that mindset, do you think you would do more than you do right now? Do you think you would approve yourself to just go to bed because it's okay, I can do that tomorrow? Do you think you would allow yourself to loosen up your goals, to loosen up your desire, to loosen up your commitment, to loosen up your daily actions? If the answer is yes, you have not even been close to all in. A lot of people say they are all in, but they're not even close to all in. There's always room for improvement. There's always room for more actions. Point number 4, fall in love with failure. Because failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of it. Every failure is a lesson you must learn to level up. Every failure is a lesson. You must learn to level up. And if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. If you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. We can go back again to the gym. If you've ever been at the gym and you've been pushing yourself until you fail, then you know you tried hard enough. It's the same thing in business. And remember, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Number 5, give more to become more. Give value, time, energy, and belief. The more you give, the more you receive. Success is a byproduct of your contribution. The more you give, the more you receive. Success is a byproduct of your contribution. And you've probably seen people, successful people on social media talk about success is a byproduct of the value that you bring to the marketplace. The more value you can bring to the marketplace, the more money you will make, the more successful you will be. So again, now you can ask yourself, how much value do you bring to the marketplace? If you look at your social media, how much value do you bring to people? Do you inspire people? You can always double check these things with yourself. And then you will, a lot of times, you will realize why you're making the money that you make. Number 6, never stop studying. Because personal growth comes before success. And when you're ready to handle success, it will show up. When you're ready to handle success, it will show up. Read books, learn from mentors, and study your craft. Grow first, result second. And last point for today, work your ass off. There is no shortcut. Learn to outwork everyone around you. Grind when others rest. Stay disciplined when motivations disappear. Because hard work compounds and it always pays off. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the topic for today. And I hope all of you guys really unlocked a new perspective, a new way of thinking. And what I deeply believe is that at least one of you guys in tonight's call is bringing this with you to your day-to-day life. And you're starting to live in a different way. You're starting to act in a different way. You're starting to handle situations in a different way. And you will see how the results in your life 10x. Because this is not just about trading. This is not just about building the business. This is about so much more. This is about life. And this is something that you can implement in all areas of life. With that said, I want to say peace out, much love, and ciao, ciao.